But you know those coordinators are going to leave. And I look at Minnesota, and do I buy them? Yes, because I think Brian Flores is brilliant. Even in Miami, he and Tua may have scuffed. That defense, 8 games into his coaching career in Miami, was unbelievable. That dude can coach. Now you got to repair his sort of image. Tua took a shot at him. And I think Minnesota and Kevin O'Connell are trying to help him out a little bit. They're putting him on the podium. He addressed the Tua stuff. I think he's going to be a head coach. I think he's brilliant. I just don't think he's going to be in Minnesota long. But between Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, I feel like it is a perfect staff for each other. And sometimes you get, Matt, where you get this brilliant offensive coordinator, you know he's getting a head job. But I buy into Minnesota because of the playmakers and this staff. Literally other team, Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur looked overwhelmed by it. So I buy the Minnesota thing. If not for the players, for the staff. What say you?
Yeah, listen, Brian Flores could have already been a head coach. I don't think he really wanted it, though. I think his experience in Miami, I think he's going to be patient and find the right situation. This is what I know about a lot of people that get into coaching. They get into coaching because they love football and they love coaching. And then all of a sudden you become a head coach and you're not coaching anymore. You're like an administrator and you do injury reports and you do podium with the press and you do all this, basically all this crap you don't want to do. Like you want a clicker in your hand, you want to be up on the whiteboard and you want to be designing and coaching your guys.
Right.
And I think I've heard that from a lot of guys that they get hired as a head coach because of what they did as a coach. And then all of a sudden they become like literally a game manager and a schedule maker and stuff like that. And they don't love it. And so maybe it's not what he wants right now. But listen, what he's doing right now is what I think he was built to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the guy that was trained up under Bill Belichick. You know, I'm definitely biased because he's a Boston College Eagle, but he's a tough, hard-nosed guy. And that everybody that's ever played defense for him understands exactly where they stand with him. So, yeah, that defensive part of it, we're going to always talk about Sam Darnold and the job that they're doing offensively, as we should, because that's been outstanding. But Brian Flores he's a confident play caller, and that's a dangerous thing when you're as talented as they are offensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, and I probably said this so many times now, but I just think at the end of the day, one of the most dangerous things in the NFL when you have an elite top level offensive head coach is to have an elite top level defensive coordinator, right? It's the other side of the ball. And I think it's more important to have that offensive head coach and have the defensive coordinator versus the defensive head coach and the offensive coordinator. Because the offensive coordinator will get a job like that. If he's really that legit and that great and really has that offense going, he's gone in a second. He's going to get a head coaching job. We've seen that consistently in the NFL now for years. So I think you get a longer stretch at stability, right? But this is really what have made the Chiefs. I mean, I think Spags will probably go down as arguably the most underrated piece to what have made the Chiefs a dynasty, right? I mean, how good that defense has been. Again, they do not win last year without that defense with Spags. They do not win the games that they've won this year without Spags and that defense, right? I mean, it's just like that's such a massive key to what has made the Chiefs go round. And it's what continues to give, you know, when they are facing these other great quarterbacks, the Josh Allens, the Lamars of the world, what gives those guys fits. And now you're seeing that with the Vikings. They're able to not only obviously look great offensively, they got all the pieces, but now defensively, they can make the other great opposing quarterbacks look uncomfortable start to finish. Sometimes, a lot of times, especially when everything was really heavy offense, and it seems like the pendulum is swinging back a little bit now, but it was just like, you got to win a shootout, right? It was like when you have all these quarterbacks, these great quarterbacks, and at the time, you know, they're all like pretty young, right? Again, the Lamars, the Burrows, the Josh Allens, right? They're all kind of like this like new age of like really high-powered offense, high-powered quarterbacks, great young offensive head coaches, right? The McVays, the Shanahans. And again, I'm going back in time. That's why I'm referring to them as all young. And it was just like, you got to put up points, man. Like, it's points, 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 points. This is crazy. Let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, everything felt like it was like a track meet. And now defenses have caught up to the pass game for sure. And now the offenses are leaning back on the run game. Like, it's just interesting how that's all kind of going. And defenses are now finding ways, because they felt that they were kind of backed into a corner with their ability to be physical, protecting wide receivers and protecting quarterbacks and all that. So the passing game was really able to explode. And now defenses have now found a way. They've evolved, they've learned, they've grown, where they're able to, be more physical, start to make these quarterbacks uncomfortable again. And you can see it. You can see it in the numbers. You can see how the offense is going. And just like how Sean McVay and Shanahan and Andy Reid and, these great offensive minds were able to be ahead of the curve, ahead of this whole new offense, pass all the time, high-powered quarterbacks, so they were able to really get a leap on all this. I would say defensively, that's what Brian Flores has with the Minnesota Vikings. And so now you're getting the equivalent. The only difference is it's a coordinator and not the head coach, right? And the other difference is that we're still so offensively centered that it's just like, right, put up points is always cooler than sacks, right? There's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is super famous and not TJ Watt. And it's not just Super Bowl victories, right? There's plenty of other defensive players on the Chiefs that are winning Super Bowl rings, and they're not as famous as Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, right? So obviously, putting up points is what people are drawn to. And so I just think that what Brian Flores is doing and how he's so ahead of the game right now is probably largely being overlooked. And that's actually really exciting if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, right? You actually have to feel great that you essentially have the Shanahan, the McVay, the Reid as your coordinator, who's ahead of everything right now, right? This is Andy Reid, 2019 or whatever, right? This is McVay 2020. Again, I don't remember all the years, so I shouldn't even say the years. But right, this is like when these guys are just, you can't beat us. We're doing things offensively that you've never seen in your mind, where every other franchise is like, how do we find our McVay? How do we find the next Shanahan? That's why they're hiring the Cliff Kingsbury's. They're hiring the Kevin O'Connells. Like, they're just trying to get that next young, offensive hotshot. And the Vikings have the equivalent, but just on the defensive side of the ball, right? And I think that that's just got to be so exciting. And you should hope that he doesn't really want to be a head coach. You should hope that he's just like, I'm happy being a defensive coordinator. I'm happy doing this. I get to get lost in the trenches, get to coach, get to be at the whiteboard, get to be physical with these guys. Kevin O'Connell runs an awesome ship. I have all the freedom that I would ever want. I get to be me. He gets to be him. We're winning games. Let's go, right? That's obviously the best case scenario. I don't have a good feeling whether or not Brian Flores will be able to, when he would get another head coaching job. I think if the Vikings come out and win a Super Bowl, yeah, I think a lot of people will be like, hey, we want Brian Flores. We want Brian Flores. And then even if he got a ring, then he might be like, all right, yeah, whatever. I got my ring. I got my thing. Let's go. Let's try this head coaching job again. But like I said, I don't really have a strong read on which direction that goes to. And I don't think, we have to lose too much sleep over that. But it's just that the Vikings are just in such an exciting place because they got the elite top-level offensive coach. They have the elite top-level defensive coach. They have the pieces. They have the quarterback. They got the weapons both offensively and defensively. They have the health for the most part right now, fingers crossed. And just exciting stuff. Honestly, just exciting stuff. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings? Are they a legitimate contender, or are you still waiting for this bubble to pop? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.